You hear the stories, the cold spots, the fleeting shadow, the bump in the night. But what if those aren't just spooky tales? What if they're pieces of a larger puzzle? Pieces connected by human experience, emotion, and memory. I'm Tiffany, a paranormal investigator and psychic medium. Here on Beyond Logic with Tiffany, we're stepping past the fear. We're not just hunting ghosts, we're seeking to humanize the paranormal, connect with the spirits, find compelling evidence, and finally connect the dots that link our world and the next. This is Beyond Logic with Tiffany. Hi, everybody. I'm here with Spooky Bro 316. How are you doing?
I'm freaking epic as always, Tiffany. It's so nice to be here on your show. Thank you for having me. Reporting live from Wichita, Kansas.
Thanks for being here with me. I really enjoy your energy. You're very bubbly and energetic, and I just love that. That's awesome.
Well, you don't live with me. My wife would probably tell you an entirely different story. different story. But thankfully, I can turn it off every now and then, and I'm feeling good. I've got my emotional support cow with me, so I'm feeling good. I'm ready to rock some, just crush some doubt, baby.
All right, cool. So, I guess my first question is kind of my typical one. What got you into the paranormal?
I grew up loving the Ghostbusters. Um, I was born in 1983, and I don't remember exactly when the first movie came out, but I started watching the cartoon. And between Ghostbusters, the cartoon, and Scooby Doo, and then, of course, in elementary school, getting into Goosebumps. But when I was 6 years old, um, there was a TV miniseries that came out in 1989 based off of a book by Stephen King called It. And it was a 5 part miniseries. I think it was like on ABC. And my mom and dad, we had no idea. They had no idea who Stephen King was at that time. I don't know why he was such a phenomenal author, but they saw previews with this dancing clown. And they were like, okay, so this is obviously a kid's show. Yeah, well, it wasn't. It wasn't a kid's show. And within the first 15 minutes of that, you find out just how much of a kid's show it is not. So, the sewer scene, the drain scene with little Georgie getting pulled in to the sewer, and Tim Curry, who portrays Pennywise, he has these nasty teeth and he turns into this monstrosity and he pulls little man into the sewer. And my parents stopped it and said, you know what? We're not going to watch this. So for years, I was haunted by that image of the damn clown pulling in the little boy. And I had nightmares and nightmares and nightmares. So between Ghostbusters, Scooby Doo, Goosebumps, and Pennywise, I was willed into being a lover of the paranormal. And I was a hardcore skeptic until about 2000, and I believe 2018 is when I had my first actual paranormal experience. And that was enough to only pique my interest further to know that, you know what? I think there's a lot more out there that we don't know about, that I don't know about. I had this experience. I had a shared experience with my wife. It was super creepy. And one of my biggest fears is death. So to me, seeing some sort of a entity was just evidence that there might be more to an afterlife than just the extermination theory, where when we die, we're just that's just it. I can't seem to wrap my head around that. As an academic and a scientist, I can't wrap my head around that. So uh, I started looking into more of the paranormal. And then when my son was born in 2020, as he got a couple years older, he also loved spooky things. I don't know if it was just because I liked spooky things and he wanted to bond with me, but he loved the idea of me telling him scary stories. And he just thought it was cool as hell. And then my wife was like, this is kind of a neat idea. What if you actually like tried to be like a little caricature? Because myself is just, I naturally am. I'm kind of like a comic book character mixed with a puppy and a weird cartoon, all mixed into one. So I was working with an artist. He was a client of mine, and we were talking about aliens one day. And I said, "You know what, man? Could you draw a logo of me as a ghost flexing my muscles?" And he came up with the Spooky Bro logo. And that was just, I was like, okay, well, we got to do something with it now. And I've pretty much had an identity crisis with Spooky Bro ever since. Because I don't know what I
There,
am. I don't know what I do. I don't really know. I I don't know. I just yeah. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what I do. What do I do, Tiffany? What do I do?
hey, I'm still at a loss of that myself, I guess. But I mean, we all have similar goals, it seems like, or at least the want to know that there's more, I guess. I don't know, maybe if that's not a goal specifically, but um, it's a very unexpected answer. I think you're the first one that hasn't had like a child. Oh, how do I word this? A lifetime of having paranormal interactions that made them get into the paranormal. It was much later in your life, it seemed like. So that's really neat. And how it was like in such a roundabout kind of fashion is interesting to me. So that's really cool. So do you focus more on the scientific side of it? Are you into like cryptids and things, or is it strictly just like spirits and afterlife and things like that?
You name it, I love it. Anything. So I call the people that follow my page we're spookters, specters, and lovers of the unknown, and we're friendly monsters. So I love spirits, the idea of spirits. I would have to say I love cryptids. Um, I'm a believer in some cryptids. But my big thing is definitely demons and aliens. Those are super important to me, and they really pique my interest. I have had a couple experiences with things in the sky that I can't explain. I've made a couple videos about my experiences with UFOs and demons. That's always just been something I've always had a dream. I haven't had it in a long time, but growing up, I always had this very vivid dream that I was a priest and I was exorcising demons from people. And it was so realistic, it was so real. I was almost like I'd done it before. So maybe that is just a memory from a previous life that has moved over um, into this current iteration of who I am. So though I love everything, one of the I don't investigate. That's not really my thing. I like to tell the stories of the people who investigate, and I put a little sexy spin on it, make it fun, make it humorous, and I guess I would say that's it. So I like to go into the places um, to kind of feel a particular vibe when I'm there. I really like to scare the hell out of myself. I think that is neat. But when it comes to the actual investigative side of things, that's not a passion of mine. Um, I am a early morning person. So I usually go to bed pretty early and I'm up super early. So when I was running around with one of my best friends, his name's Jason Roberts. He owns Road Trip Paranormal here in Wichita. And he's taking me all over the state to investigations. Man, you crazies, you will start at like 9 p.m. and go all night long till like 6 a.m. hunting some ghosts. And then it's hours upon hours of going over evidence. Man, that messes me up for 3 or 4 days. Takes me about a week, kind of like what we're going through right now with this time change. It takes me that long to adapt to investigating all night. So I saw somebody recently say something about, and it might have been my friends with Offbeat Paranormal. They said something about an investigative hangover, and that was just too real for me. So between that and my wife being scared to death of that shared experience, something attacked my wife. She does not really allow me to investigate. Um, I have had people reach out to me offering to teach me how to protect myself if I ever do decide to investigate. But I tend to have just weird shit happen if wherever I go, even though I'm not investigating, just weird stuff just tends to happen to me. I was told once by a psychic lady that Spirits like my energy. They think I'm playful like a child, so they tend to interact with me. And I don't like hearing that at all.
Okay, well, I won't say I agree with her then. I'll just omit that thought completely.
Is it true? Is that a thing?
Your energy really does make a difference in a lot of that stuff.
Really?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
So what am I doing wrong? Should I try to be Batman stoic and mean? And I don't know. I don't think I could do that if I tried, but I don't know why, but it seems as though when I go to paranormal places, even when I don't investigate, weird things happen. Um, Things that I try, uh, as a scientist, I try to explain away, but sometimes just some things happen where I have to come to peace with it in my mind. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Even as a paranormal investigator, I sometimes have those thoughts, so I completely get that.
Dude, I want to know, Tiffany. I know this is your show, but you see, I'm a medical exercise specialist by day and a licensed health coach and gerontologist. So my day is pretty much spent talking to people and asking questions. So I know you're here to ask me questions, but I want to know, where is the creepiest place that you have ever been? And you being in Buffalo or in that area, have you ever been to the Amityville house?
So three things real quick. Feel free to ask us whatever questions you want. This
I
is
love it.
a mutual thing. So just creepiest place. That's honestly a hard question. So I was just in Villisca about a week and a half ago, and my answer used to be hands down Hinsdale House in Hinsdale, New York, which is about an hour, maybe 45 minutes away from the Pennsylvania border.
Okay.
But Villisca, that I think takes the cake. That place has some dark, dark energy, and holy cow, we
What
just the stuff that we
what did you feel when you were there?
heavy and dark and
Oh
just,
God.
I mean, it was sad. I mean, you felt just all of this heavy emotions, and it was incredible. And the stuff that we caught on like camera and stuff like that is just unbelievable. Um, so I didn't really physically see as much as I wanted to. In Hinsdale, I have. Hinsdale, I saw full shadows running around the basement. And
Wow.
there was four others with me that witnessed the exact same thing. So I knew it wasn't just me just seeing things and, my my brain playing tricks on me because they all saw it too. And the last question, I have never been to the Amityville Horror House. However, we did talk about that and I would love to go. That's a place that's probably one of my bucket list locations to go to.
Do you believe in it?
Oh yeah. I've experienced too much not to.
I have a friend here who he does not believe in the Amityville story at all. And he thinks it was a hoax, and he's not really a big proponent of the Warrens. Um, so I'm always curious, it sure is a legendary looking house. And I'd have to say it's on my bucket list as well. Um, to get in there and see. I'm sure they're not just opening it up to the public to let people in, but I keep hoping if I'm nice enough, maybe one of these days someone is going to invite me to go. I just got invited a few months ago to go stay on the battlefield in Gettysburg. So I'm in July. I'm going to go do that with a few other paranormal ghost hunters, I would say, or paranormal teams, and I'm super excited about that. So, and there, I have been invited recently. There is this huge thing in the Kansas area called the Delphos Ring, and it is apparently an area. I didn't know anything about it till I saw one of my friends post about it several months ago. An area where a UFO, if you look at pictures of the Delphos Ring, it's this farmland where there is a ring that is imprinted into the ground. That is apparently where the UFO was, and nobody gets to go onto this lawn anymore because it was for a while, like the History Channel's been there, and for a while it was super gnarly with people going and breaking and getting onto the land. It's a farm, So there's lots of cows, scaring the cows and whatnot. So they've shut it all down. And from what I understand, they actually uh, covered up the ring, but that's not true. And I've been invited to go. So no one's been there in years, but a contact through a contact, I've been invited to go explore this area, and I get to interview the he's the owner of the place who saw the UFO when he was a child and whatnot. So I'm finally gonna be able to tell this story. And I'm telling you, man, Tiffany, there's just something about being nice. People aren't so repulsed by me to where they're like, yeah, I guess I could have this guy come out and look around. So I'm going to keep using that. I'm going to keep being this comic book guy and keep telling these ghost stories because at heart, I'm a storyteller. I have a book coming out. I've started a second one. They're horror type books, but I've always been a storyteller. I get that from my mom. She was a storyteller, and I love entertaining people through stories. So to be able to take these legends and put a modern swing on them that will open up these stories to a new generation of kids and people, we can keep these legends alive. So maybe that's why I'm here. There's too many awesome people like yourself out there doing all the investigating who have the passion for it. Well, then maybe I'm just the front man to take those stories to the masses. And I guess I'm okay with that. I've learned to come to peace with that.
Hey, that's okay. Everybody has their thing, their strengths, and you're using yours to your advantage, and I think that's awesome. Uh,
Thank you.
so I guess I kind of got to do ask, what is this story with Offbeat? I kind of caught up late in the game when I had them on my podcast, so you guys are hysterical.
So God, when I'm trying to remember how we came about. I don't know if they were following me or I was following them. They kind of run around with these guys. They're chumming with the spirits. And
Mhm.
are you familiar with that group of those two guys?
Yep.
And these are all people that like I said, in the Midwest, Kansas scene, we all kind of cross paths and we support each other on our journeys. And I just don't remember how it came about, but my love language is insults. So something happened to where Phil, one half of Offbeat, Phil and his beautiful fiance Amanda, um, Phil and I just hit it off. And I was just like, you know what, man, I'm just going to talk some shit on this guy. But I don't remember what started it. There had to have been something that started it. But he responded. And then we just started trying to one up each other. And it turned into a thing. And I felt bad for the people who were following both of us who had no idea, like for his supporters who had no idea who I was, or my supporters who weren't familiar with them. They were like, why are these two teams, or why are these two people investing so much energy to go after each other? But it has all been in good fun. I talked to Phil on the phone probably 3 or 4 times a week. So Phil, I don't talk to Amanda as much. I think my energy probably does not resonate with Amanda as much. She's so chill.
Yeah.
But Phil and I, dude, Phil and I, we are bros from we are brothers from another mother, and I've really enjoyed getting to know him. He's a black belt in Taekwondo. So I like to give him stuff that I'm gonna dominate him when it comes to the insult game, but in real life he'd probably kick the hell out of me. So we have a really fun relationship, and they've invited me out to a couple things, and he's one of the ones who has said, "Hey man, I'll teach you how to protect yourself." Um, but they're very involved in investigations, and they do a lot of podcasts, and they're similar to you. You guys are the experts. I'm just kind of the sidekick. So but it's been a lot of fun getting to know Phil and Amanda, and we are actually, so I'm in Topeka. What is today? Wednesday. I'm in Topeka on Friday. with Drop Dead Paranormal, Heather and Carissa. Are you familiar with Drop Dead Paranormal?
I follow them, but I couldn't tell you that I've actually interacted with them.
Wonderful, wonderful ladies. I'm going to do a walkthrough of an investigation in Topeka, but in May, Offbeat and myself, and there's 7 or 8 other teams. We're doing an event at the Springfield Penitentiary, uh, and that'll be the first time that I get to interact on a personal level with Offbeat. I'm looking forward to it, but I may run into them before. They travel a lot more than I do. I've got a 6-year old and a 1-year old, so between work, I'm pretty much a homebody. But they're out and about, man. They're making some noise, and I just support the hell out of them. And whatever I can do to share their stuff, comment on their stuff, and try to get my followers involved with them and a lot of other groups that are in this area. I think that's one thing that is probably unique to me is I don't investigate. So have you noticed that there is actually a lot of drama within the paranormal community? Um, I don't compete with anybody because it's just, I mean, if I have a competitor, it's probably Mr. Ballin, who's a gazillionaire dude who tells ghost stories. I love him to death. I love his stuff, but I'm not out investigating and trying to get into locations or whatnot. So I just kind of sit back and watch all that happen. But I try to support everybody and their passions to investigate. Girl, I'm talking up a storm here. I had a real weird day. So you caught me on, I am just word vomiting all over the place.
You're fine. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, there's a lot of drama, unfortunately, but I do try to keep my nose out of it. It's not worth it. It's not worth my time. I do this for fun. And I don't want that to tarnish anything. So that's kind of where my standpoint is. I just kind of keep my head down, and I'm thankful that for the people that I do have following me, and I'm thankful to be able to do what I do. So I can respect the other standpoint too of, just being kind of the person that likes to share the stories and support everybody else. So I appreciate that too from, being on the other side of that.
Yeah, my girl Jocelyn calls me the paranormal community's hype man. But she's got this cute southern accent, so it sounds like she's saying hot man. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the hot man. I am the Midwestern paranormal hot man. But she means hype man. I just pretty much try to hype up everybody.
That's awesome. I mean, I know you said you're not an investigator, but is there a place that, aside from what we talked about before, that you would just absolutely love to go to just to be around it?
Yeah, so there are some things I'm working on. I have 4 or 5 locations throughout the world. And I think if I really think hard, I could probably get to 10. And there's also still a lot of hidden gems that you more uh, localized and legendary investigators keep coming up with there. But there are 5 to 10 bucket list places I'd like to see in my lifetime. Um, Really, the purpose of trying to get popular as a figurehead, I guess, influencer is such a stupid term, but maybe is that, I don't know, is some of these places I figure you have to be invited to, and I want my son to experience these things with me before he gets too old to not think dad's cool. So but these are places that are big time places. I would love to be and I'm working, like I said, I am working on it. One of them is the Amityville house. I would love to be able to get into the Amityville house just to see what that's like. um Roswell, New Mexico, on the farm where the proposed or the supposed plane crashed. Not the plane, the UFO crashed in 1947. The History Channel just keeps beating me to all these places. There is a uh, the History Channel was there at the exact spot where it happened, and they put a statue out there. No one is allowed on the farm, but I'm hoping eventually I will be able to make enough connections to where I can get out there and explore that. Loch Ness, I would love to see Loch Ness. I am a believer in the Loch Ness monster. I'm not a believer in Bigfoot. Um, I just think that how could we not find this guy? Come on, where is he? And my best friend Jason will fight me to the death on this. He is the founding member of Bigfooting Kansas, so he's a huge believer. And he tells me he's going to take me to a place where I will engage with a Bigfoot. So that's his challenge. He's got to do it. But I am a believer in the Loch Ness monster. So I'd love to get to Loch Ness in Scotland. Um, I'd love to see the Conjuring House. I know there's a lot of drama right now that surrounds the Conjuring House. I'm not really in on it, but it's being sold. It's not being sold. Somebody's buying it. Nobody knows who's buying it. Uh, but one of the big ones was Gettysburg. So being able to go and stay on the battlefield in Gettysburg for 2 nights is huge for me. That is a huge bucket list. Unfortunately, my son cannot come. They have very strict regulations staying. It's called Rose Farms. So I'm going to be in the house, and the Battle of Rose Farm is a Civil War battle. It was one of the Gettysburg battles. It's the bloodiest farm battle in the history of the United States. I believe what I read about it was there were 20,000 soldiers who fought there, 9,000 died. A lot of the famous pictures of the battles of Gettysburg are from the farm perspective. So there's a paranormal group in Pennsylvania that has invited me out, and I'm so thankful for it. That's going to be a huge thing for me. Interestingly enough, when you are on the farm, you're not allowed to leave the farm at night. You cannot go onto the battlefield. They have cameras around the fencing areas, and it's pretty much a live stream, and you can see weird lights flashing all over the place. But this farm overlooks the one of the big battlefields, and you're not allowed to leave the farm area. You cannot legally go onto the Gettysburg battlefield once it's dark outside. I just think that that only adds to the lore of this. So I'm gonna make have a big bucket list thing with Gettysburg. One of the big ones. My son is obsessed with Dracula, so he would love to go spend a night in Vlad the Impaler's castle in Transylvania. Um, and I think to stay, it is open to the public in Romania, but I think if you want to stay inside of the castle, it's an invitation only type thing. I would love to see Alcatraz on the inside. Um, and that for the most part, man, if I hit all those, I don't really know what else I would do. Um, and that's I guess that's kind of where I would really lean on a lot more of the localized things that aren't the big picture, like the Delphos Ring in Kansas. Some of the other places in Kansas that a lot of the investigators talk about is the McGinter Inn in Atchison. There's the Garnett Hotel, not too far away from us. I'd love to see the Stanley Hotel in Colorado where they filmed The Shining. I think that would be really neat. Um, yeah, I've been to where John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas. I've been there. I think that was a really just they've kept it up super well. Um, I don't know where else should I be? Where Tiffany? Where should I be thinking? Where are some other big picture things that I'm missing out on?
I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with a lot of the major ones. I mean, some of them are on my bucket list actually.
Yeah,
But,
and if we can get in together, we will go in together. There are
yeah.
some cool places in Wichita. I haven't reached out anywhere yet, but BTK, the notorious serial killer BTK, Dennis Rader, his stalking grounds and where he committed his murders were in the Wichita area, and there are several houses where he committed murders. I would like to get into one of those houses. It's funny, his most notorious murder, the Otero family, is a block away from my private fitness studio. It's just right. I see it every day. So I've thought about it. It's a Hispanic family that lives there now. I don't think they speak English, but I don't know. So there's been a part of me that has wanted to stop by and knock on the door and ask. But in this day and age, I might get my ass shot for doing that. So
Yeah.
I haven't decided to do that or anything like that. But I would love to see that. Um, how about you? What are some, besides some of the places that we mutually have in mind, what are some of the really cool places that I've missed?
I want to go to the Lizzie Borden house. That has been on my bucket list for quite some time now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the Lizzie Borden. I have a friend who recently did an investigation there, and she said it was just wild. Um, and I honestly, I didn't know anything about it until she told me. And that's it. Is that in Massachusetts?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think Salem, I would love to see Salem, Massachusetts as well. Uh, the where the some of the Salem witch trials happened. And I can't believe I forgot this. I want to go to Auschwitz in
Mhm.
Germany. I think that I have some friends who have been to Auschwitz, and they say it is just the energy and vibes. And these are not believers in paranormal, but both of them have said it just feels dead, like death. You know, those are the feelings that are there. It's darkness, it's heavy. The way you described the place you just visited recently.
Well,
That's how
it's just,
these skeptics described Auschwitz. And I think that would be a really fascinating thing to see.
yeah. I mean, Auschwitz is also on my bucket list, so it's funny that you keep saying a lot of the ones that I would love to
Dude,
hit
we're in it,
eventually.
baby. We're in it.
I guess. There's a place in London, and I cannot think of what it is called, but essentially it's like a big underground tunnel where there was just a bunch of bodies that were found.
Mm,
That's another place I'd like to go. Oh, it's gonna kill me because I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me when it doesn't matter. But there's uh there's a lot out here. There's the Niagara Hotel. It was a really big mob area in the falls. So I mean, we have obviously the falls themselves is another really popular place. I mean,
yeah.
that place there's a lot of energy. I mean, not just because it literally makes energy, but
Yeah.
you can feel the difference of just certain places when you walk through. The gorge that's connected to the falls. There's a cave. There's a lot of local lore for the cave there that there was like seances done and stuff in that cave and
Really?
yeah, there was
Wow.
a native battle that happened. I can't remember how. I think there was like only 1,000 deaths or something, but it was all like, well, at the time, American soldiers. No natives passed. No natives got killed. But it was a massacre. So that's also something that people say that they can see soldiers and stuff with the gorge. Um, it's just a lot of local stuff that, like you said, it kind of makes it kind of worthwhile to do the local stuff. Um, you got Iron Island, which it's basically a museum now, but it was right where the railway used to go through in Buffalo. A lot of
Mhm.
people have a lot of activity there. It's a cool place to be in. That's a really cool little, it used to be a church, then it turned into the station. So it's really cool. Um, the Statler building is where basically spirituality started. Um, there's a lot
Really?
of
Tell
activity
me
there.
about that. What do you mean where it started?
There was the Statler building is where the sisters kind of had their first meeting where they started where spirituality was and tried to create a following for it. Um, Matter of fact, when I was in college, I did a paper against Christianity for spiritualism.
Really?
So
Fascinating. Okay,
I
okay.
uh, I really lean towards the opposite of religion, believe it or not, especially with all of this stuff that a lot of us believe. Um, And I don't mean that in a negative way. I will never ever knock anybody's beliefs or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Um, but the spiritualistic part of it just resonates more with me, and it always has, because there's really no set guidelines for it, and that's kind of just how I feel like it. I don't even want to say should be because that's not right. That's how it fits my beliefs. I'm agnostic at anything. If you want to put a label on it, that's my beliefs. I take a little bit from everything. I don't have one set belief. And that's kind of how spiritualism is. A lot of people equate being spiritual with being a witch and Wiccan and pagan and all of that, but they are so different in so many different ways for each different branch of that. So, I mean, I think it's fascinating to have those conversations because, again, I will never ever knock anybody for their beliefs, but most of what Christianity is comes from the spiritualistic beliefs or the pagan beliefs and things like that. So, it's not so much that I don't believe in religion, it's just the less structured version of it is kind of where I flow.
Man. So, Tiffany, have you ever seen? I know you talked about seeing uh somewhere recently. You saw shadow people running around in the basement. Have you seen a spirit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, many times.
Like a full on spirit?
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's
When did you know you had that ability?
when I was very young, actually.
Okay.
And I thought it was normal. My entire life up until probably my mid 20s, I just thought that everybody could see spirits, and then I realized that I was weird, which is fine. I've accepted that I'm weird, but um when people were I would just talk like it was normal and they were like, "That's not normal, Tiff." And I'm like, "This for me." So it didn't really phase me in a way, but I was just like, "Oh, well, maybe I should dial it back a little bit." So I did for a bit. But ever since I was little, man, I could see all sorts of things. I embarrassed the shit out of my mom when I was a kid. She
How did you do that?
she apparently let the door close and it closed on some ghost's arm and I screamed bloody murder and she just apparently my grandma thinks it's the best story since the beginning of time, but she said that my mom turned so red because I screamed because Jody's arm was caught in the door. She's like, I remember that to the T. Like, there's no, there's never been a variance in her story. So I know for a fact it had to have happened.
Yeah.
But that was kind of where it all began. And then we would always have weird crap happen in our house. I don't know if it followed us. I still to this day have no idea. But things would move, things would disappear. I remember at one point I was sitting in the living room with my dad, and all of a sudden I don't know what it was. It might have been aluminum foil, plastic wrap, whatever. It was a long tubed box. It flew right out of the cupboard and landed in the middle of the kitchen floor.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean that's kind of where my fascination began. Wow, it's been a long week. It's only
And we're
Wednesday.
only in the hump day.
Oh gosh. But that's kind of what started it. And then we moved in. I was probably 12. We moved into the home that eventually that's where everybody still is. But um, when we first moved in, I looked out the window and I saw a little boy standing on the back porch. So I went to say something and the little boy wasn't there. I mean, it was a full body, like in color, everything. And my mom's like, there's nobody
Wow.
outside. I was like, there is though. Like he was just standing there because I flew downstairs. I wanted to go see who the new friend was.
Yeah.
No, there was nobody there. And it
Wow.
just, I mean, and then I guess the final story I'll say, because this one still just rattles me to this day. So the layout of the house, we had a living room, and then through the doorway was the kitchen, and then we had like stairs, couple stairs that went down into a Florida room, just basically a room with a bunch of windows. And my little sister, unbeknownst to me, was still sitting in the living room. We had an island in the middle of the kitchen, so I was doing the dishes, which is where the sink was. And all of a sudden, I'm 10 years older than my siblings. So I mean, like they were
Okay.
little and I was a teenager.
Mhm.
I saw her running across the kitchen into the Florida room. I go, "Where are you going?" And she answers me from the living room. She goes, "What?" And she goes, "What did you say?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing." I was like, "You're not even here." I was like, "Forget it." And I mean, she was probably like 5 or 6, so like I was 15, 16 years old, and I'm just like, "Okay, I'm done." Like this is too much. But it just kept escalating from there, and then that's kind of what started this in 2023.
Do you still see spirits?
Not as clearly,
Okay.
but I have every now and again I'll especially here at my house. My daughter sees them all the time too.
Okay.
Um, Matter of fact, she told me that there was a mom and two daughters here, and I
Wow.
yeah, she picked up on that way before I did. But now I hear little pitter patters on my floor, and I'm
No,
always like,
you
"What do you
don't.
need?"
You do?
I swear on everything, and I go, "What do you need?" and she doesn't answer me, so I'll like physically like look up and she's not standing here. And it's the I just call her the little ghost girl because I don't know her
Oh,
name.
yeah.
So that's I mean, one night I woke up and she was like right in my face and I was like, whoa. And my daughter was behind me. She'd had a nightmare or something, like, and I'm like, well, not you. So
Wow. So Tiffany, why do you think you don't see them as much as you did when you were younger?
well, I feel like kids are less conditioned to life when they're younger, and it's a lot easier for them to just not have anything filtering out so you can see spirits a lot clearer. I had a situation with my mother that caused me to shut off everything. Like when they tell you you can't, I can, and I have, and I'm just now slowly starting to rebuild to where I was because of all of that stuff. But
Was she passed, or was this supernatural related or something entirely different?
she has a lot of mental health issues, and
Okay.
it sort of caused me to, well, I won't deny it. I panicked. I was like, well, there's a lot of animosity between my mother and I, but she's insane. Like, I don't want to end up like her.
Yeah.
So I shut it off to the point where like I was just a normal person. Like I didn't I didn't see anything, hear anything, smell anything, nothing. I didn't even do investigations. Um, and one day, I mean, I still believed. I mean, there was no reason for me to not believe in things, but I just didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
Um, so once I kind of started getting it back into it, I actually got snowed in at work, 2022. I want to say it was. It was right around Christmas. We had 6 feet of snow overnight. And I'm not
That's
exaggerating.
what
Like
happens in New York, man.
oh,
Yeah.
it was bad. We tried to open the door and like you just open it and there's just snow and we're like, well, we're not going anywhere, so
Not
I guess
going
we're stuck
anywhere.
here, you know. I mean, I'm in a management role in my job. I work for a casino, so I'm a security
Cool.
manager
Yeah.
and we're letting everybody go home, but we still have to be there because we have assets. So even though everybody else and their brother got to go home, security, certain people, there was a skeleton crew there. There was like 6 of us total in the building. Um, I ended up talking to a couple coworkers because we had legitimately nothing else to do but sit there and talk to each other for over 3 days. And eventually the paranormal topic came up, and nobody knew that I was into that stuff. I kept my my circle very small. It's still small, but I'm a lot more outward with my beliefs and stuff now. But that's what started my paranormal journey is just kind of admitting that I still had that inkling in me and I still had that itch to figure out what was after, he passed away. So
Have you thought about that? Do you have an idea or a hypothesis as far as what these spirits are? What are we? What happens when we do cross over to the next plane?
I have a lot of theories.
Okay, I want to hear at least one or your top two.
Okay. Well, where energy never dies. That's a scientific fact.
Mhm.
It doesn't dissipate. It may change, but it's never destroyed.
Yeah, it's Newton's law of thermodynamics, I believe, or it's second or first or second law.
Oh, I
Energy
couldn't tell
cannot
you.
be created nor destroyed. It can only change shape or something like that. Yes. Sorry, other scientists. I butchered that. I apologize. But I know
But
it's
that's
the first or second law of thermodynamics.
yes. And I think that's kind of it makes sense to me that that would still carry over and that's what creates, there's obviously residual and intelligent haunting. I haven't quite figured out how, let me stop and backtrack. Residual is easier to explain than intelligent.
Okay.
Residual is going to be something that's repetitive anyways, so I mean, if it never dies, it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
That's the continuous loop. That's the residual. The intelligent stuff, I don't know if they take energy from other things, which what most paranormal investigators will tell you and all of that is, they take from everything. If there's no electricity, like the Liska, there was no electricity. Our equipment died left and right. I mean, so there's phenomena that happen that make me believe that they pull that energy to use it to manifest whatever it is they're trying to do, whether that
Okay.
be a voice, movement, a touch, anything. What happens after we pass? I mean, you're obviously leaving your physical body behind. I'm not really sure, and this is where the religion part kind of gets me, that trips me up a little bit on my beliefs because I'm not sure. I don't believe in hell. I think hell is on earth. We have a bunch of feelings, we have a bunch of heartache, and there's a lot of things that just rip people apart.
Yeah.
But when you're free, when you're not encapsulated in this skin suit, I guess is what a lot of people call it. I mean, you don't have a choice but to just be free. There shouldn't be any pain. There's no heartache. There's no grief, remorse. You just feel, I mean, from other psychics and things, I'm not sure what your beliefs are with them either, but basically they say it's just love. And I'd really like to think that that's kind of what it is, that you just feel this overwhelming sense of just goodness, and maybe not love in general, but just a goodness feeling that you're not overwhelmed anymore by the life that you lived.
I hope so. I hope so. 'Cause Tiffany, I these last few years, and it's not a Trump effect, it's not a political effect. I don't know what it is. People are mean
Mhm.
and people do not seem to care about each other. People are selfish. Um, and sometimes it's like, man, it keeping my son and daughter good is going to be a challenge in a world that prides itself on being mean, trying to raise really good and kind people in a world where good and kind people get pushed around. That's going to be tough, but damn it, I'm going to try. When I hear people talk about uh, the afterlife being a connection to a divine energy and unconditional love, I hope so, because that would just be wonderful, you know? And we see it, in my opinion, we see it through children. Children don't know how to hate. I mean, children do learn that they can be petty if you take a baby's toy. The baby will get upset. Um, where they learn that, I don't know. Um, but kids love each other. They don't care if you're a boy or a girl. They don't care if you're black, white, red, blue. Uh, they just love everyone. And I've seen this a lot with my son and his friends and the way they interact. And I just think if we as humans, adult humans, could see the world through the eyes of a child, I think the world would be a much better place because children are not affected by money. They're not affected by power, stature, status. They're not affected by any of those things. They just want to play and they're curious about their environment and they're curious about other people. And man, we need to get back to that. Maybe us in the paranormal community, which we're ostracized enough as it is, because typically people who are supporters of the paranormal, that doesn't vibe with the Christian mentality in America. They're pit against each other a lot, and maybe us in the paranormal community can do what the religious community is no longer willing to do, which is heal people. Man, that is some fucking guru shit right there.
That
Ugh.
got deep quick, but you know what? It's really funny that you say that because I use the argument all of the time. How can you not believe in the afterlife or spirits or anything else when you literally pray to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it? And you would be surprised how many people like turn up their nose when I point that fact out and they're like, that's just not right. That's not okay. But I mean, that just kind of goes to show why I have the views I do, at least for me personally, because I don't turn up my nose at people.
Nobody.
I
Yeah.
just it I'm not hypocritical. I don't like to be, and it's kind of disheartening to see that those people that are supposed to be the most welcoming are usually the most judgmental. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm just throwing that out there, but it's a very unique situation.
I did a paracon last summer in Caney, Kansas, this small area, and the organizers spent a lot of money to put this paracon together. Well, the evangelical Baptist church in that area got everybody fired up, tried to get the whole thing shut down, um, tried to bully vendors into not showing up, trying to shame community people who might be interested in this to not go. And when I got there, I got out of the car and immediately started getting screamed at by people. And when we pulled up, because we were late, we pulled up and there were all these people outside of it. And my friend Jason, who took me, he goes, God, I wonder who these people are. I go, Jason, these are fans. They're trying to get inside to the Paracon. It just hasn't opened yet. No, I was wrong. It was the protesters, and there were a lot of them, and they were just screaming terrible things at me. And I just stopped and I looked, and there were all these young kids there. And the first thing I did was I didn't address the adults that were screaming at me and telling me if I go into this building, the Paracon, I am going to be sentenced to eternal damnation. I looked at the bunch of little kids and I waved at them, and they waved back. They had no idea why they were there. They were just like, oh, this guy's fun. We'll wave at him. They were just being kids. They had no idea why they were there. And I immediately felt this deep sense of sympathy for them because I thought, wow, you were going to grow up and learn to hate because of how much hatred your parents have. And 10 years from now, if I'm still lucky enough to go to a Paracon and I wave at those 6 or 7 year olds who are now 16 and 17-year-old evangelical people, they're not going to wave back. They're going to scream that I'm going to hell. And think about this: hell, eternal damnation, suffering, and torment that we cannot even comprehend or fathom. It is so bad for all of eternity just because we believe in ghosts, which they ultimately believe in the Holy Spirit, which is a ghost. So you're right. The hypocrisy of religion sometimes overshadows the good that religion can do. That I turned my back on organized religion a long time ago. I like the idea of a Jesus. I like the idea of a Buddha, but I don't like. I love the Christ. I don't love Christians because of the judgmental people and the hypocrisy. And honestly, they're mean. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
once again, it's not all of them, but man, the mean ones are the really loud ones. So they're the ones that we'll see. So it distorts your vision on religion because you're like, man, it may just be a small subset, but they're the ones yelling at you and screaming at you. So you're like, wow, I don't want to be a part of that. Who wants to be a part of that? So I'd rather go into the place and with all the other people who believe in ghosts who are kind and they want to share their experiences with one another, you know?
absolutely. That is one thing about this community is that we're all genuinely pretty okay. Aside from the drama, we're not nasty people. I mean, you're gonna always have those eggs that are gonna be nasty and bad, but this is a place where I felt welcomed in a very unique way, and to the point where I literally said in front of all of the executives at my job doing my speech that I am a weirdo, and I was proud of it. And they all looked at me like, we let this girl be in charge of this thing?" Like, and I'm like,
You
but
know, I think that I've won a lot of awards in the Wichita area as an entrepreneur, as an upcoming professional, a 40 under 40 type person. Uh, and I'm very open about, hey, I'm a lover of the unknown. I believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens. I believe in it all. And yeah, you definitely have your fair share of people, CEOs, and executives look at you like you're crazy, but I don't give a damn. I
mhm.
think life is more exciting because I believe the way I do. And I like pursuing knowledge. And what better way than to pursue knowledge than to pursue something that you may never be able to answer,
There you go. Yeah.
right?
I gotta ask because you've brought it up a few times and I kind of shifted it a little and I apologize. What is it about aliens that intrigues you so much? Like where did they come from? Where are they? Like what is your, I have my thoughts and I'm really curious. I haven't really talked to many people that believed in aliens. So I'm curious of what you think about all that.
Oh man, as much as I get asked that, you would think that I would have a automatic response, but I'm always I'm so intrigued by them. Um, with a lot of the newer reports that have come out from the Air Force that they've seen a lot of these crafts, they tend to go into the water. At least that's how a lot of these reports happen, is that these things are going in and out of the water. So I don't know I think there is something in the ocean, at the deepest parts of the ocean, that we do not know about, that maybe serves as almost like a wormhole, or maybe that's where they are. Maybe that's just where they are. But something is allowing them to come into our planet. And you know what, Tiffany, I don't know. I know that um, maybe I just watched The Predator when I was too young. Um, and nothing better than Arnold kicking ass. Because I was never an ET guy, so I couldn't say that it was ET. I just, I've always been fascinated with the idea that there is intelligent life out there that is so much further along than we are intellectually, that they would travel millions of light years to check on us and check on our progress. And I'm a I'm very fascinated with enlightenment. Um, that's why I love the Buddhist faith, religion, about the idea that you can, through constant practice and meditation, you can reach a level of clarity and enlightenment to where you transcend suffering. Well, these species would have transcended that. They would have realized that if you do not somehow transcend these basic human emotions, anger, jealousy, rage, paranoia, sadness, anxiety, if you do not transcend these, it will ultimately destroy your species. So, whoever these things are, whatever they are, I feel that they are so far enlightened. I just think we could learn a lot from them. And I know that may be the most disappointing answer in the world, because I don't know where they came from. I do think that in our past, this is probably where I get into a little bit of a little conspiratorial. I think that was once a human species that lived on Mars. I think that there's water on Mars. Um, I think we blew ourselves up and somehow started again. Maybe it is the ancient alien theory. Do you know much about that? The ancient alien theory,
Mm.
that we were visited thousands of years ago, and gifted ideas that helped progress our evolution forward. Because now, scientifically, I know that this happened. I just don't know the terminology that makes it legit coming from me. But what happened was that in the chain of evolution, we were moving along slowly, and then out of nowhere, we just jumped about 100,000 years in our evolution. And historians have no idea how that happened. It's about the time we went from cavemen to building the pyramids. There's no explanation for that, except for maybe we were visited by what they call ancient aliens who came from the sky in chariots of fire, spaceships, and gifted us knowledge. Maybe they procreated with us. I don't know. I know that sounds nuts, but that's pretty much the ancient alien theory, is that they've been here before and that they gifted us certain gifts of intellect that allowed us to evolve to where we are now. And they check on us every so often to make sure we don't blow ourselves up, which, if you believe it, if you believe certain military reports from uh, retired Air Force people, they've reported that unidentified crafts have shot down missiles. Um, so if you believe that or not, then they're here. Maybe they're looking out for us, but then it also makes you wonder why they haven't been involved. Um, I also am curious as to why it seems like there is such a cover up relating to aliens and UFO sightings. What is it that, why won't the presidents release it? President Obama was on a podcast a few weeks ago, and he was asked about aliens, and he had a Freudian slip. In my opinion, he had a Freudian slip when he said, yes, they exist, but they're not here now. He had to backtrack that. He had to have his publicist come out, and he had to put out a statement that said, well, what I meant was, think of all of the endless galaxies and the endless potential for life. Are we really that arrogant to think that we're the only ones here? But that's not what he said. He said, yes, they are. Yes, there is a thing, but they're not here right now. I believe that was a Freudian slip. President Trump has talked about releasing UFO files, but he hasn't yet. I don't know if we can expect that or not, but it just seems that there is a movement and it is gaining momentum to declassify and disclose. They call it the movement for disclosure, to disclose what is actually happening to the people. And I really hope in my lifetime I'll kind of get to see what they know, because it would be really disappointing if it was all just nonsense. Now, with that said, what do you believe, Miss Tiffany? You're the pro. I want to know.
Oh, no, from this part of it, man, I'm so far away from pro status. I'm not even rookie status at this point. But my grandfather, I mean, unfortunately, he's passed now, and I didn't know this until after he passed. Um, had a lapse of time, and he claimed, and again, this is talking years ago, that he was abducted by aliens.
Okay.
So I have kind of been a little fascinated with it just because, again, when I was in college, I had to go to this seminar and why this professor was infatuated, and that this isn't the class that I took had nothing to do with his infatuation with aliens, but he made us go to this seminar anyways for class credit. And I still don't understand why we had to go, but it was an interesting thing. And it kind of increased my interest, I guess, in aliens. There was a lot of places that these people had gone to see, like where different aliens landed and spaceships and things. But I don't know. I feel like we were put here, I guess, in a way. I think that we're the aliens in a sense. So it kind of
Oh,
correlates
okay.
with what you think, I guess, in a little bit. Because it just doesn't make sense. To me, like evolution is great and all, but like you said, that jump, it just doesn't, I can't compute it, and there's gotta be something else. And just to go from essentially nothing to what we are now just doesn't I can't wrap my head around it. And maybe that's just the skepticism in me just coming out in a way different form, but I don't know. It's a theory I don't really delve into too much because usually people think I'm nuts. But
Not me, girl. And hey, like uh it's too easy to dismiss these historical events. I have heard, I've seen TV shows where architects say we would have a challenging time building the pyramids the way they are now. With our modern day technology, we would have a very challenging time doing Stonehenge with our modern day technology. But there are cities, ancient cities, where there are perfect cuts made in stone that come from our primitive ancestors. How did they do it? There's no explanation whatsoever. And if you look at particular hieroglyphs, there are images of beings that look like they're wearing space gear. There's the famous one that's thousands of years ago. It was a Mayan image of someone in a spaceship. And you will see, are you okay? Oh, there you
I
are. I
know,
was like,
I
oh my
mean,
God, did she just faint?
I didn't want
um,
to interrupt you, but I really want to show you. I think you'll enjoy this book, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
and there are too many things that, in my opinion, are unexplainable that some experts will write off as, well, of course they could do the the pyramids. It just took hundreds of men and cows and horses, and they moved these stones on trees, and or maybe there were giant. I mean, I, it's too easy to dismiss us as being crazy. And I think that's what happens when people do not have an explanation. They just dismiss it and dismiss the believers. Um, and I think that sometimes that is just a cop out.
I think so too. I think people are scared of what they don't know that they can prove or can't prove. But
Yeah.
this book, I think I can send you a picture. Oh crap, it's gonna go away. It's called The Book of Magic and the Occult,
It's the
but it goes,
National Geographic, right?
it is, and it has, I wonder if this will show. It's probably not going to. Oh, this is gonna bother me.
Oh, you're
But
disappearing on me. Darn
I
it.
know. But it goes into literally everything. Like the Loch Ness monster's in here, Bigfoot's in there. It goes into the pyramids, medieval stuff. Like it is like I'm gonna try again, but this is gonna just annoy me because it's not gonna work.
Man.
Um,
It's like every time my eyes want to focus. There we go. There we go. Okay. Is that Tantra? What is that? What are you showing me?
it's right
Tiffany,
now. It's
which book did you open?
reading reading the omens, but like let's see. I'm trying to look and I can't remember where it is, but it's kind of describing like the creatures and things that you were just, and that's kind of what made me think of this book actually, was the hieroglyphics and certain things, but like even like imaginary beasts. Here we go. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Yep.
just my mind's like a squirrel with ADHD, but I that book, that whole thing just reminded me of this book, and I it's such a cool book. And it was only like $20, but
You
um
have to send me a link to that. I'd be more than interested in looking into that. It sounds awesome.
yeah, it really, I mean, there's just so much in here. It goes into spiritualism, it goes into alchemy, runes, tarot cards. It's just so much. It's such an interesting read. Um, but yeah, aliens are not really my forte, I guess. But the pyramids have always kind of intrigued me
Hmm.
because of literally just how sharp they are. Like
Yeah.
there's, even if that was done by hand, there's, you can't, like it's just impossible, and it fascinates my, just everything.
I cannot accept that human beings could have done that with primitive tools. I cannot accept it. How did they get them up so high? Those stones weighed tons. It
Mhm.
just I can't accept it, and we need to get Neil deGrasse Tyson in here to explain how he thinks it happened, because he says some wild stuff sometimes. I don't get it, Tiffany. But hey, I have to go. Can you believe
That's
that? My
fine. No,
God,
that's
this
fine.
flew by. So what do we do to wrap this up?
Well, I'm just going to thank you for your time, and I appreciate your insights on a lot of things. You definitely gave me a few things to think about, and you're really a very knowledgeable and awesome person. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me tonight.
Tiffany, thank you for having me. I hope we you'll have me back one of these days. And
Absolutely.
I would love to continue to support you if you're ever, and vice versa, if I'm ever up in your neck of the woods, or if you're ever in my area, then Phil with Offbeat and we will take you out for a wonderful chicken fried steak dinner. And I hope you'll have me back to
Yeah.
this is going to be a big year for Spooky Bro, in just that I'm going to be able to be around some very passionate people who are much smarter than me. So when I'm able to come back on, I think I'll have a lot more to say about certain topics. Never ever not rivaling your knowledge, but I'll be able to at least have a really good conversation on maybe some of the scientific ideas behind these things. And maybe I'll be able to inspire you to love aliens a little bit more.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll definitely love to have you back on especially after you get at Gettysburg and all that stuff that you got going for you. So we'll be in touch.
It's a date, Tiffany. Thank you for having me, baby.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
As I wrap up my time with you today, I hope the ideas I've shared here on Beyond Logic with Tiffany have provided a fresh perspective, challenging you to think a little differently about the world. Before you go, I have a request. I'd love for you to share this episode with one friend, colleague, or family member who you think needs to hear this specific conversation. Spreading the word is the best way to help the Beyond Logic community grow. To stay connected with everything I do and get continuous content throughout the week, make sure you follow me on all my platforms. Facebook is where my community gathers. Join the conversation, share your thoughts on the episode, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes content and Q&As. If you're on YouTube, head over to my channel to watch the full video version of this podcast and check out extended interviews and deep dives. For short, impactful, and shareable clips, follow me on TikTok. You can find all 3 platforms easily by searching for Beyond Logic with Tiffany. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative, keep exploring the possibilities, and stay beyond logic.